live from our studio here at Kokomlemle in Accra. This is JoyNews Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. Coming up, the special prosecutor suspects there is a grand scheme by some to frustrate his fight against corruption.
Not intend to sound as though I'm predicting doom, but we are facing doom. And this is it.
Now, also coming up, confusion rocks Parliament as the fate of the 2024 budget hangs in the balance after the majority staged a walkout of the House when the NDC tried to reject the budget statement and economic policy.
You don't have the floor. You don't have the floor.
Head count on their side since they are challenging.
You don't have the floor.
You know the bill.
You don't have the floor. You don't have the floor.
And we are leaving the chamber for them.
We have details as the finance minister says, as far as is concerned, the budget has been passed.
So as far as I know and I believe, we have the 2024 budget passed until such time as they resolve whatever they want to resolve.
But the NDC minority says they disagree.
The MPP has been defeated in a grand style.
Comprehensively.
In fact, this is the second time this NPP has run away from their own budget. Also
coming up, the aggrieved customers of Black Shield Capital end a 36-hour picketing of the Finance Ministry after blocking the road and entrance of the ministry amid a near fallout with the police as they vow not to back down until their 4.3 billion cedis is paid. Now, the special prosecutor, Kissi Agyebeng, says the recent judgment on the Labianca case sets a bad precedent and opens the floodgate for suspects to demand immunity from investigations against them. According to Kissi Agyebeng, the ruling will erode the progress made in the fight against corruption. On Monday, a High Court nullified a report by the OSP that implicated Colonel Kwadwo Damwa, a former commissioner of the Customs Division at the Ghana Revenue Authority, and Joseph Eduche, a former deputy commissioner of the division, for utilizing their positions to provide favorable tax treatment to Labianca Company, a frozen food company. Addressing the media in Accra, Mr. Agyebeng described the trend as troubling.
I proceed now to announce the commencement of investigation and corruption risk analysis in respect of the following matters. Number 1, government payroll. The OSP has commenced corruption risk assessment and investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of Government of Ghana Payroll Administration. The assessment and investigation are especially aimed at isolating and removing non-existent names, recovering wrongful payments, and the prosecution of persons suspected to be culpable for any offenses. The Controller and Accountant General's Department is actively collaborating with the OSP on this investigation and assessment. Indeed, a joint project team of selected staff of the two institutions has been formed. The investigation and assessment will cover all banks and employees on government payroll. The exercise will be carried out in 2 phases. Phase 1 will cover Ghana Education Service and the health institutions. Phase 2 will then cover all other metropolitan, municipal, district assemblies, departments, and agencies. Number 2, Tema Oil Refinery. I know some of you went ahead of me because a document that was not supposed to be brought to light was brought to light before my announcement. But hey, you are doing your work as media, so kudos. Tema Oil Refinery. The OSP has commenced analysis of the risk of corruption in respect of the proposed partnership agreement between Tema Oil Refinery and Tema Energy and Processing Limited. The special prosecutor has directed the management of Tema Oil Refinery to immediately suspend the proposed partnership agreement, ongoing negotiations, operations, and all other ancillary activities arising out of, and consequent upon the proposed partnership agreement until otherwise advised by the special prosecutor to enable us to timeously conclude the work. Number 3, state lands, stew lands, and other vested lands. The OSP has commenced investigation into the appropriation, sale, and lease of state-owned lands and properties to individuals and corporate bodies since 1993. The investigation covers all lands and properties that fall under the direct stewardship of the Lands Commission, the Ministry of Works and Housing, all other ministries, state housing company, state-owned companies, and other state agencies. The investigation also covers the management of vested lands and all public lands over which the state's ownership or control has been relinquished, and the conditions of the release and relinquishment. Cecilia Abenadapa. It will be recalled that in July, the OSP commenced investigation in respect of suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses regarding large amounts of money, mainly in foreign denominations, and other valuable items involving Ms. Cecilia Abenadapa, former Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources, and her spouse. It will also be recalled that the office took several steps, including freezing Ms. Dapa's bank accounts and investments, and seizing large sums from the residence of Ms. Dapa and her spouse. It will further be recalled that upon the refusal by the High Court to confirm the freezing and seizure orders, the office re-seized the cash sums and refroze the bank accounts and investments and applied to the court again for confirmation. The matter is still pending. It will be further recalled that the investigation became cross-border and transboundary upon the claim by persons of interest that part of the seized cash sums was transported into the jurisdiction from the United States. For that reason, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, of the United States became involved in a collaborative investigative work with the OSP on the matter. The investigation has been largely aimed at determining the sources of the large cash sums. Members of the press, we have had the benefit of 5 months of investigation, and the circumstances of the case are clearer to us.
Now, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has taken on the judiciary for some rulings made concerning suspected corruption and corruption-related cases being investigated. According to Kissi Agyebeng, the court is exhibiting some disregard for the powers of his office with what he sees as hasty dismissiveness of its cases.
Members of the press, just as it is essential that anyone accused of a crime should have free access to the courts so that he may be duly acquitted if found not guilty of the offense with which he or she is charged, it is also of the utmost importance that the judiciary should not interfere with investigation and prosecution authorities in respect of matters which are within their statutory powers. It will be gravely inimical to public policy, the fight against corruption, and the administration of justice if the court stepped into this arena to decide who should be investigated, who should be prosecuted, and who should not. That is not the function of adjudication. The danger of this startling decision is again quite obvious. A judge has in the process granted 2 persons immunity from investigation, and in effect, immunity from prosecution. This decision opens up a calamitous deluge, as every person under criminal investigation will be encouraged to take out suits to injunct investigation and prosecution bodies from investigating and prosecuting them. Indeed, there is a live case involving the OSP now in which someone has taken the cue to seek to injunct the OSP from investigating them. The real and present danger looms largely on the consideration that by so doing, persons under investigation would end up conscripting the judiciary to clothe them with immunity from investigation and prosecution. Members of the press, I do not intend to sound as though I am predicting doom, but we are facing doom. And this is it. With this development, it will not be long. A suspected murderer or armed robber would boldly walk to court with the unthinkable prayer that the court should injunct law enforcement agencies from investigating him.
Well, but will this force the special prosecutor to resign just like Martin Amidu did? He had a response when that question was posed to him.
Should I feel frustrated and resign? I took an oath when I was sworn in. And in my life, when I take on the reins to do something, I do it to the best of my ability. Those who do not understand Tree, please forgive me. They say I'm a unkwanoma. Me de me cry abo afore. Me ye de me to me. Emre so a eko.
Well, let's take you down memory lane. Martin Amidu resigned as special prosecutor because of what he termed as frustration from powers that be. Let's bring you a quote from his resignation letter. Now, let's show you what he said in that letter. He says, quote, I should not ordinarily be announcing my resignation to the public myself, but a traumatic experience I went through from October 2020 to November 2, 2020, when I conveyed in a 13-page letter the conclusion and observations on the analysis of the risk of corruption and anti-corruption assessment on the report on Ajapa royalties, limited transactions, and other matters related thereto to the President as chairman of the National Security Council, cautions against not bringing my resignation as a special prosecutor with immediate effect to the notice of the Ghanaian public and the world. Now, he again says, quote, the reaction I received for daring to produce the Ajapa royalties limited transactions anti-corruption report convinces me beyond any reasonable doubt that I was not intended to exercise any independence as a special prosecutor in the prevention, investigation, prosecution, and recovery of assets of corruption. My position as a special prosecutor has consequently become clearly untenable, unquote. Again, he says, quote, I resign as a special prosecutor immediately. Quote, fear is the enemy of change, and I am prepared from the vacuum created on November 12, 2020 to meet the threat of my demise as a price to pay for serving my country without fear or favor of affection or ill will. So those were, the remarks that Martin Amidu gave as a special prosecutor when he was stepping down from that office. The question many will be asking is, will Kissi Agyebeng tending similar statement if he's to resign today? Well, he says no. Moving on from there to Parliament. Now, a majority MPs in Parliament today walked out, forcing the House to adjourn after a voice vote to pass the 2024 budget was challenged by the minority and the Speaker called for a head count. While minority MPs believe they have yet again succeeded in scuttling the budget, the majority and Finance Minister insists it has been approved. Here's a blow-by-blow account of what happened in Parliament today.
Approves the budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending 31st December 2024. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. No!
Scenes in Parliament today reminiscent of what we saw in the House in 2021 when the NDC minority purported to have rejected the 2022 budget over the e-levy brouhaha and controversy in the House. Today again, the NDC MPs wanted to reject the budget, and they did a lot of stuff to achieve that. There was an initial voice vote that the Speaker of Parliament adjudged to have been won by the A's, those who supported the budget, and the minority were on their feet. Listen to Amagufibua challenge that decision of the Speaker.
On Order 1132 to call for a head count to challenge your ruling. And so,
but even before the Speaker of Parliament will go ahead and conduct that head count, the majority MPs will not agree. According to them, the NDC MPs have completely adopted a process that is alien to the House.
It's most unnecessary and should not be entertained by. There is nothing before you. We can't proceed to do a head count when there is no primary application challenging voice votes. Mr. Speaker, I therefore submit that secondary step that he is urging on you to proceed on is neither here nor there, Mr. Speaker. It is as simple as an odious submission, and Mr. Speaker should dismiss him.
There was a back and forth over this for nearly an hour before the Speaker determined that he was going to go ahead with the head count. But the Speaker decided that not only was he going to do a head count, he was going to call individual MPs to stand up on their feet in their chairs to be counted. This is where the majority MPs drew the line. Oseche Mensah-Bonsu led his team to walk out. But of course, not without some hesitations on the floor. There were still some NPP MPs who were seated who really believed that option to walk out was a bad choice.
Speaker, you don't have the floor.
If you want to entertain,
You don't have the floor.
for a head count,
You don't have the floor. You don't have the
a
floor.
head count on their side since they are challenging.
You don't have the floor.
We know the bill.
You don't have the floor. You don't have the floor.
And we are leaving the chamber for them. Yes, we are leaving the chamber for you. Now do the head count and see whether you have the number to overturn Mr. Speaker's ruling. The expectation then was that the Speaker of Parliament will continue the vote by calling NDC MPs to stand up in their seats to be counted. The Speaker did otherwise, deciding that the House should take a suspension instead.
What's happening is that there are 5 members of the minority who are not here. So all that he's doing is to play for time to enable them to come to the chamber. That is it. That's all that it is. What are the names of those of them who are not there?
Honorable Ayarga.
Ayarga is not here.
Honorable Zanato.
Sam George is not here. And Zanato is not here. Ajekum is not here. And Jechikwesin is not here. There are 5 of them who are not here. All that the Speaker is doing is playing for time to enable them to find a way to enter the chamber. What kind of thing is this? Why should a Speaker beat such a hasty retreat from what he had said? He said to us that he thought, and I'm quoting him, that I think the eyes have it. That is how speakers make pronouncements and determination. What is this? That is why we left the chamber for him. That let him do his own thing. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the import of what you have done.
Well, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says, as far as he is concerned, the 2024 budget has been approved.
We are all here. We just, the bell is ringing, which means that the chamber is just coming back to sitting. But I think we've just witnessed a situation where the minority leader gave their closing statements. Majority also did. And then I had some concluding remarks. At the end of the day, the Speaker put it to vote twice, actually. And he declared that he thinks that the ayes have it. Yeah. So that means the budget, in my view, has been passed. Later, there was a challenge which has not been resolved. So as far as I know and I believe, we have the 2024 budget passed until such time as they resolve whatever they want to resolve.
The minority say that is not true, that the budget has not been decided on, and as far as they are concerned, another day will come on the floor where a vote will be taken on this budget.
Today, the MPP has been defeated. Yes. The MPP has been defeated in a grand style.
Comprehensively.
In fact, this is the second time this MPP has run away from their own budget. Second time in the history of Ghana. Sensing defeat. We have got them, and we'll get them again another day. The fact remains that the MPP does not have the numbers to approve their own budget. That when the Speaker makes a pronouncement and a ruling, they can only challenge that through a substantive motion. And on the 98 is clear on the matter. So as we speak, the budget has not been approved.
It's just about 3 weeks for Parliament to go on its December break. And what we've seen today is a foreshadowing of what is going to happen in the next 3 weeks. There's going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of fights over a lot of things because of the level of mistrust that exists among the individual MPs. The majority say the Speaker of Parliament today acted in a way that abused the standing orders and wanted to favor the NDC minority over that. But that is not something that the minority agree with. We'll continue to monitor scenes in the House as this minority challenge of the budget continue to hang. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Well, the minority side has released a statement on this development. Let me share details of that statement with you now. It says that the majority caucus on Wednesday ran away from the government's 2024 budget statement and economic policy, sensing defeat over its failure to rally its numbers for parliamentary business. The Speaker of Parliament had earlier stated that his voice vote had been challenged under Order 1132 of the Standing Orders of Parliament. The Speaker put the question for a voice vote twice and stated that, in his opinion, quote, the ayes have it, unquote. This opinion was subsequently challenged by the Deputy Minority Leader, Honorable Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boah, citing Order 1132 of the Standing Orders. The Speaker then ruled on the motion that the application was in order and the head count should commence. It was at this point that majority members, sensing defeat, started packing, fled the chamber, and abandoned their own budget, leaving only the NDC minority caucus to carry on with parliamentary business. But Mr. Speaker suspended the House, and immediately upon its resumption, he adjourned proceedings until Thursday, 30th November 2023. As it stands now, the 2024 budget has not been approved. Throughout the budget debate, the NDC minority group insisted that it cannot support the government's new taxes because the poverty level in the country is just too high, and this will put an extra burden on already suffocating businesses. We, the NDC minority, cannot, in good conscience, support the principles of this budget at this time. It is signed by Honorable Kissi Agyebeng, PhD, MP, and Minority Leader. So that's the letter there from the minority. Let's return to our earlier story on this office of the special prosecutor, who today has had issue to come out and speak up against what he thinks is a machination by the judiciary against his office. Let's broaden that conversation now by bringing in Edem Senen, who is co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. He is an anti-corruption campaigner and the executive director of Ghana. Okay, so we have him here. Grateful to you for joining us, sir. Shocking revelation by the OSP. What does this mean for the fight against corruption?
Well, I think that the OSP coming out to speak candidly about this support against such things continuing, and hopefully persons who are so minded in the judiciary will take note that certain things are going on that do not, as it were, constitute what would be a proper way of adjudicating these matters and ensuring that the right things are being done. So I'm glad that he has come out and publicly indicated what has transpired and what they are unhappy with.
How do we deal with this? Because Martin Amidu was there. He cited instances where people were frustrating his work. This OSP, Kissi Agyebeng, is also citing similar instances that people are frustrating his work. How can we cure it to ensure that they have what it takes, the free will, to go about their business?
Well, it's one of those unique characteristics of the space that is occupied in anti-corruption. As one former Minister of Finance of Nigeria, I think it was Okonjo-Iweala, said, when you fight corruption, corruption fights back. So there would be different levels of individuals and institutions who are not happy with the effort to ensure that you minimize and, as it were, try and eradicate corruption. I think that what is required is a mindset that one should just continue to robustly deal with these issues that as they come up and not be intimidated or overwhelmed by things that happen. And I think that that's the way to go. So you will not have a situation where people make it easy for you to deal with this fight. But the longer we keep at it, and when we play a much more greater, put a lot more emphasis on nurturing integrity and honesty, that will help reduce the incidents where people feel frustrated when they are fighting corruption.
But the law court, which he believes is frustrating, his work, is a place of law. And if you go there to demand for an action, it has to be backed by concrete evidence. Is he right to then feel that the judiciary is up in arms against him?
Well, I think that what matters is just ensuring that the evidence you put out, because whether he's right or wrong will be determined by case analysis of the facts of the specific issue or scenario in question. And as he adduces those facts for others to also look at, you can then draw a conclusion as to whether there's a particular trend emerging where one institution appears to be frustrating or impeding the work of the office. So whether he's right or wrong may not be the issue as much as how many of such instances exist. Are we seeing a pattern emerging? And is this something that the Chief Justice and other persons who should have responsibility are taking note of to ensure that these things, if they are true and are impeding the progress of the collective, that actions are taken to ensure that we have fair, sound judgments that promote the best interests of all Ghanaians.
Do you expect the Chief Justice to take an action on this pronouncement, to look at how things can be streamlined to probably get the OSP to feel that nobody is against you?
I suspect that she would not probably do a formal public response, but probably call up, and maybe there'll be the behind-scenes engagements to talk about the issues and to analyze them and to take some steps. One wouldn't want to keep this in the public space where it might just do much more injury to the image of the judiciary. So I suspect that, yes, the Chief Justice would pay attention to this and probably would use backdoor engagements to see how they can address the issues that have arisen.
Okay, Mr. Adamson, and I'm grateful to you for joining us here. This is still the JoyNews Prime. Still to come, aggrieved customers of Blackfield Capital end a 36-hour picketing of the Finance Ministry after blocking the road and entrance of the ministry amid a near fallout with the police as they vow not to back down until their 4.3 billion cedis is paid. Back from the break. Now, in less than an hour, aggrieved customers of the defunct Gold Coast Securities, now Blackfield Capital Management, will end their 36-hour picketing of the Finance Ministry. The group are members of over 61,000 customers of Gold Coast Securities, whose license was revoked by the Security and Exchange Commission as part of the government's banking sector cleanup. The group is demanding for their capital spent last night at the ministry, demanding that the government pay their 4.3 billion cedis locked up funds. My colleague James Aveji was at the ministry and filed the following report.
The group, numbering about 100, is a fraction of the over 61,000 customers currently owed by government. After staging a series of demonstrations across the capital, they moved to the Finance Ministry on Tuesday evening, sleeping on lawns and the concrete floors to Wednesday morning to press home their demand.
They have decided to escalate their picketing, actually blocking the entrance to the Finance Ministry. They lined up a few minutes ago, they lined up chairs sitting right at the entrance, beating objects, chanting and singing songs to draw the attention of workers of the Finance Ministry to their plight. And just a while ago, they have moved their chairs and the canopy under which they are seeking some sort of respite to the middle of the road here in front of the Finance Ministry.
According to convener of the group, Charles Nyami, an earlier meeting with the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Dr. Amin Adam, ended without any conclusion.
Yesterday was the worst of it all. He told us that the Finance Ministry will effect our payments on only one condition. And that condition is that we, the customers, should get assistance from the Finance Ministry so that we will go after Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum and the Gold Coast Fund Management Company, challenging the liquidation order filed by the government through the Registrar General Department against the company to sell its assets. But we said that no, this is a purely legal process, and we cannot use illegality to get him out of the court. It is the government that filed this case against Gold Coast Fund Management, and liquidation is a litigation process. He has put up a defense. If the government has done everything so well with due diligence, they have to provide their facts and their evidence for the court to rule in favor of the government and grant them the liquidation.
One of the customers, Rosamond Grunitzky, said she and her husband, a retired mine worker, invested 2 million Ghana cedis with the defunct fund manager. She said the failed investment has affected her children's education.
When my son finished Akosombo to further in abroad, so when he finished, that was 2018. That's the time that the money was locked up. We traveled to the UK, and all that we wanted is money to pay school fees. We couldn't pay school fees. We had to come back. All of us had to come back. Well, there was no money to pay. So the boy ended up finishing his university over here. So that means all the plan that we have for the money is gone. It's not easy. I'm ever ready to die because of that money. It's a big amount of money, and it's hard to get that money now. It's not easy, my brother. It's not easy.
Another retired civil servant, Nathaniel Kingsford Mensah Jr., also told Joy News he was able to receive only 50,000 out of the 200,000 pension lump sum he invested 5 years ago.
And I know very well that during the COVID time, the president said, I cannot bring dead bodies to life, but I can bring the economy to life, so I will save the human being. Now we are dying. We are more than those who pass away during the COVID, so they should save us.
What was your plan for the 200,000 you invested at the time?
My plan was to set up a business and employ people, and also to take care of my children who are in the university. Now I beg before I eat, before my pension does not, within 2 weeks, it's finished. So I rely on people, and once you have a sum of money over there, the people also are not prepared to give you the money. So should I think and die and leave my family. Why the stakeholders, whom the tax-paying money is being paid to them, should live comfortably and we suffer. I don't think God will allow that. Because he that knoweth to do good and fail to do is a sin. If they don't know, and there is the law of karma. A day is coming, a day of reckoning is coming, and they will pay.
At the end of the picketing, the group was unable to get any resolution from the government on when the 4.3 billion cedis will be paid. They are calling on the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, to walk his talk on his promise in the 2024 budget to resolve the issue or risk another round of picketing. James Savage's report for JoyNews.
Let's do politics now. And some aggrieved members of the National Democratic Congress have shattered windows at the party's national headquarters in Accra. The group, who identify themselves as supporters of one of the parliamentary aspirants for the Ododo constituency, Michael Ni Yaboy, said the action is to register the Functional Executive Committee's decision to disqualify their candidate weeks after the vetting committee cleared him to contest in the upcoming parliamentary primaries. The angry group broke glass windows at the party's office, including the security post. We'll hear their demand shortly, but first, here are excerpts of that letter from the Functional Executive Committee communicating the party's decision. Now, the party says the Functional Executive Committee today, the 28th of November 2023, at its meeting at the headquarters, has received the report of the special committee set up to investigate the violence that occurred at Ododo constituency during the vetting of parliamentary aspirant held on October 13, 2023. The FEC, that's FEC, after a careful study of the report, has decided as follows. 1, that Mr. Michael Ni Yaboy is not qualified by the provisions of Article 41(8)(b) of the Constitution of the NDC and therefore cannot contest in the parliamentary elections in Ododo constituency. 2, that the other two aspirants, Mr. Alfred Ni Kortei Ashi and Emmanuel Ni Kortei Ashi, whose supporters the committee's findings reviewed that caused damage to the properties at the center of the vetting, are hereby surcharged jointly for all the cost of the damage at the center. 3, that the FEC sends its apologies to Ms. Akosia Ochre, the journalist who was manhandled on the vetting day, and assures her the party will liaise with her to identify all her medical bills. Okay, so indemnify all her medical bills. Now, we can now hear from the group on what their demands are.
Party. This man has qualified. He joined the party in 2019, right? And he was duly qualified. The vetting committee qualified him for them to come back again to tell us that through that provision again he has been disqualified. They have to explain to us because, yeah.
Does it mean that after the initial vetting, the vetting committee has clear him to go into the election?
The vetting committee cleared him. He went through balloting. He picked number 1. Other 2 candidates who picked number 2 and number 3. A date was given for the election, and then later a release came that because of the commotion that other 2 candidates caused at the regional office, we should hold on the election because some of them has send a petition to FEC again. You understand? So they asked us to hold on, only for them to come back and tell us that our candidate, who was duly qualified, cleared by FEC, and he was even given a number 1 on the ballot, that same person is disqualified again. So seriously, we don't understand.
I.e., he was not part of the candidate being investigated as a result of the vandalism, the distraction caused at the party office. He was not part of it.
The vandalism, you can go back to the video again. The vandalism was done by Ashikote, the number 2 and the number 3 on the ballot. That's their people that went there and caused the commotion. the commotion, we're not part of it. As at the time they were doing that thing, we've even got into Osuka Jano. When we heard that something, when we heard that something is going on at the office, not even single of one member of our people was even on that place.
Meaning that he was not part of the investigation, and so you do not understand why he should be disqualified.
Yes.
But is it clear whether the two other candidates are qualified to go into the election?
When you go through the release, as I told you earlier on, there's even an error in the petition, because we have Ashikote and we have Okanlai. But when you go through the release, you could see that we have two Ashikotes on the release, and the other is Emmanuel. Total error. That's why we want them to come and explain to us if this is from them, because for the first time that I'm seeing a release from Fifi Kwete with so much error. So we want to know. They should come and explain to us why they've come with a release with so much error like this.
Okay. Now, if you are just asking for explanation, that explanation has not come yet to tell you that yes, he has been disqualified. Why the reason for the distraction we have seen? Has the bottles we saw broken, the chairs we saw, windows being shattered, are they done by your team? Why do that when the explanation hasn't come yet?
In the first place, the reason why our people were so much hungry that yesterday we heard the rumors that our general secretary is being forced to come out with a release.
Forced by who?
Yeah, we heard rumors that we heard a lot of names, and someone like Afoti Agbo's name was mentioned. That was a rumors. We don't say, and the name of Ashimo, our original chairman, was mentioned.
That's still the JoyNews Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Showbiz. How's going? Jacqueline and Sumaya Boy is here with that pink clip. Hi, how are you doing?
Were you trying to recall another person?
Not really. I was trying to put words together to describe you.
Okay.
But let's move on.
All right. What are your plans this December? There's a lot.
Yeah. I want to bring the family over, have some time with them, or go over to Takrady.
You don't have anyone coming from abroad?
Let's move on. What's happening?
All right. So December in Ghana keeps getting exciting, and for diasporans waiting to troop to Ghana this December, Ghana's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration has announced a visa-free regime for all foreign nationals traveling to Ghana effective December 1st. Now, the CEO of Ghana Tourism Authority, Kissi Agyebeng, has been sharing with us what the visa-free process entails.
In just 2 days, December arrives. Dirty December is almost here, and for diasporans eager to troop to Ghana for Christmas, acquiring a visa has been made easy. Foreigners do not need a visa before traveling to Ghana. They will obtain a visa on arrival. CEO of Ghana Tourism Authority, Kissi Agyebeng, revealed that this initiative is a step in the right direction to ensure the easy inflow to the country this December.
And one of the things that was on the table, we had two things on the table. One, whether we have an e-visa system where you don't have to send your documents anywhere. You sit in the comfort of your home, you apply online, and if it's successful, you get a barcode or some reference number that can be used to board the flight. That work, from my interactions with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is ongoing to come to a point where we have an e-visa platform. But in the interim, we said, okay, if that is not ready, then let's have a visa on arrival. People can come to the airport, get their visas, and move, so that it takes away the wait. Sometimes it takes 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and given that people sometimes also travel on impulse, we need to ease it. And so that is what we have done. From the 1st of December to the 14th of January 2024, all airlines are expected to onboard everybody who appears at the counter with a ticket and says, I'm going to Ghana. Once you get to Accra, then you get a visa on arrival stamp in your passport.
So, just pack your bag, hop on the next plane, get a visa on arrival, and party hard to the end of the year. For JoyNews, I am Jacqueline Ansuma Yeboah.
Well, that's the end of Showbiz, but not quite. You remember at the beginning of the bulletin, what the special
prosecutor, yes. So Elton Brobe asked him, with all the challenges you're going through, will you resign? He says, well, no, I signed onto an oath
to
do this. And then he gave an Akan proverb.
I remember that very well. But you know what?
For people who missed it,
yeah,
we are bringing it back to them.
Yeah.
But it ties in with a certain song Lumba played.
Yeah.
Let's
take a listen to that.
Okay, let's do it.
Frustrated and resigned. I took an oath when I was sworn in. And in my life, when I take on the reins to do something, I do it to the best of my ability. Who do not understand Tree, please forgive me. They say I'm a unkwanoma. Me de me cry abo afore. Me ye de me to me. Emre so a eko.
Memre so na me ko. Okay, so that's how memre na so nti me ko, you know. But remember to brush your teeth before you go to bed this evening and tomorrow morning with Pepsodent product, because you know that with Pepsodent, every smile matters. But ladies and gentlemen, remember now as soon into me like the OSP.